So, exciting news from the United Kingdom. The Home Office, which is led by Priti Patel. Do you know what they've done? They want to punish journalists and whistleblowers. How surprising. So, 2 months ago in May of 2021, the Home Office, what did they do? They released this document. Take a look. Just pay attention to the title, right? Just from the title. Legislation to counter state threats. So what are their state threats? Whistleblowers, of course. Journalists, of course. So what they're doing here is they're saying the Official Secrets Act, which is basically the UK's equivalent of the Espionage Act, right? You know, the Espionage Act, this draconian law from World War I, which they're using. It's always been a political tool. It's never used against actual spies. It's used against journalists and whistleblowers, right? So Julian Assange, Chelsea Manning, even Gary McKinnon, like anyone the United States doesn't like, they just charge them with espionage, and they do it at the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia, right? The Espionage Court. So the Official Secrets Act is the UK equivalent of that. And the last time they reformed it was in 1989. And now the Home Office is saying, no, come here. We need to reform this again because now there's the internet. There have been a lot of technological advances since 1989. And, you know, it's not equipped to deal with modern threats. What are those modern threats? Online journalism, of course, right? So I'm not joking, by the way. This is actually what they're saying. Look, take a look, man. You can't make this up. This is what the Home Office is saying, okay? So basically, just so you understand what a legal consultation is, the government says, we want to do this. We want to change this law. Can we do that? And then, you know, they have a question and an answer thing. So take a look. This is what the Home Office is saying, okay? The government welcomes a recommendation that a maximum sentence of 2 years does not provide the court with adequate powers in the most serious cases of unauthorized disclosure, right? So that's leaking documents, basically. Okay? They say, since the passage of the Act in 1989, there have been unprecedented developments in communications technology, which in our view means that unauthorized disclosures are now capable of causing far more serious damage than would have been possible previously. So basically the internet, right? Because you have wider reach. What do they say here? As a result, we do not consider that there's necessarily a distinction in severity between espionage and the most serious unauthorized disclosures. Let me translate that for you from politicians speak to English. They're saying that they don't think espionage is necessarily worse than publishing classified documents. Well, who publishes classified documents? Just logically. Spies don't publish them because when spies get classified documents, they shut the fuck up about it and they keep it to themselves. The people who publish classified documents and hold their governments accountable are journalists and whistleblowers and publishers, right? That's what they're talking about. And they're literally saying here that, look, man, because journalists and publishers can have such big reach online, right? With these developments in communications technology, that's the internet, they can cause so much damage because if they publish classified documents, if there's an unauthorized disclosure, more people are going to see it because of the internet. What kind of bullshit logic is that? This is what they're saying. This is the Home Office. Okay? And look look what they say, right? Although there are differences in the mechanics of and motivations behind espionage and unauthorized disclosure offenses, there are cases where an unauthorized disclosure may be as or more serious in terms of intent and or damage. For example, documents made available online can now be accessed and utilized by a wide range of hostile actors simultaneously, whereas espionage will often only be to the benefit of a single state or actor. Again, just absolutely brilliant logic, right? So they're saying if a spy steals a secret document, you know, the spy works for like one state or perhaps one actor, and therefore it's just that single actor or single country that will benefit, right? If you're a spy from Mexico and you steal a document, only Mexico is going to benefit. And according to them, that's less bad, okay? It's not as bad as a journalist publishing that same document. Because if a journalist does it, more people are going to see it. What the fuck? First of all, you don't even know what the spy is going to do with the document. They might share it with their allies. Then it's not really just one state, is it? Second, spies are stealing shit like nuclear launch codes. Journalists and publishers are publishing things in the interest of the general public, right? If there's a scandal, like, you know, war crimes being committed and a cover-up, that's in the interest of the general public, because that's government crimes and wrongdoing. Journalists are not stealing nuclear fucking launch codes and and other classified documents. That's not the same thing. But here they're not just equating it. They're saying it's worse. They're saying publishers are worse than fucking enemy spies. Can you believe this shit? Enemy fucking spies. I mean, this is unreal. It's unreal. Or is it? Are we surprised? We're not surprised, and I'll tell you why in a moment, but because we're not done. So as you just saw in the sentence before, they want to raise the sentencing. Before it's 2 years, as you can see, right? You can get punished 2 years in jail. Now, for espionage, what is it? It's 14 years, right? So, you know, if sorry, I'm laughing at something else. You know, if you're caught as a spy, you could go to jail for 14 years. Well, here's the thing. The UK government is saying, well, publishers and journalists are just as bad as spies, so therefore we should punish them as badly as spies, right? Like, they should also get 14 years or something. Why should it just be 2 years? Let's fucking grill them, man. Let's grill them out, boy. Throw them in the can. Yes. So, this is what they're saying. They want to punish people who you know, undertake unauthorized disclosures. It could be anybody. They don't say, oh, there's journalists and, you know, there's whistleblowers. No, they don't give a shit. It's just anyone. You could be a plumber. You could be anyone. For them, this is, you are worse than an enemy spy, right? Especially if you do it online. And then there's a problem with the public interest defense. So, you know, for a long time, people have been saying that the Official Secrets Act needs to be reformed to include a public interest defense, right? You should have something in there for journalists, for whistleblowers, so that if they're charged under the Official Secrets Act, they can say, well, look, I only published this because the public needs to know. It's in the interest of the country to know this, because these are government crimes. This is government wrongdoing, right? That's a public interest defense. Well, here in this legal consultation, in this document, in this new document that is called Legislation to Counter State Threats, there's nothing about a public interest defense. They've not included it. So the government is basically trying to reform the Official Secrets Act to include all of the shit that they want, you know, harsher sentencing, equating journalists with spies, but nothing that journalists and the public want. You know, nothing that, like, people who, you know, want basic civil liberties and a democracy want. So there's no public interest defense. That's not included. So are we surprised by this? I'm not really surprised. I mean, I've been telling you for a while about the fascist, authoritarian, nut job shit that they've been doing in the UK, in my country, right? So what have they been doing in the last couple of months? They passed the CHIS Act. So that's the Covert Human Intelligence Sources Act. That's a long name to say that undercover agents can do whatever they want, right? It's nicknamed the Spy Cops Bill. Why? Because it literally allows undercover agents to behave like spies. You know, that undercover agents will be given a criminal conduct authorization. That's what it's called. It's called a criminal conduct authorization, to act like a criminal, right? And they tried passing amendments to it in the House of Lords. So we went from the House of Commons to the House of Lords. And the House of Lords was like, well, this is pretty fucked up. You can't be raping and murdering people. No, we're going to take this out. You know, there has to be like some fucking sense of normalcy. And then it succeeded, and it goes back to the House of Commons. And the House of Commons is like, no, of course undercover police should be allowed to rape and kill people. We'll put this back in and pass it. And that's what happened. This is a law in Britain now. I'm not joking. This is actually the fucking law. Undercover agents can just do whatever the fuck they want. They can rape people. They can kill people. In the best part, you know, in what? In the economic interests of the UK, whatever the fuck that means, right? In the national security interests of the UK, which is basically like anyone who's causing trouble to the government. This is fucking insane. And you know who's targeted by that? It's journalists, it's leftists, it's, dude, there's actual evidence of police targeting anti-fascist protesters. Like they're protecting the fucking fascists and then going after like the people protesting against fascists. They're infiltrating these leftist groups, like feminist groups, whatever. This is unreal. So that you know, that's the law now. What else did they do? They passed the Overseas Operations Bill, right? So basically, you have a lot of MPs in the UK with sticks up their asses who think that, oh, we're such victims that nobody likes us. They keep trying to prosecute and persecute our servicemen and women. What? Dude, the UK has no right to talk about persecution. 100 years ago, one quarter of the planet was under British rule. Literally 25% of the landmass and the world population was under British rule. How the fuck do you come around now and say that British troops are being unfairly accused of war crimes? What the fuck? Do you not remember, like, the UK invaded Iraq and Afghanistan? Of course, there's a sea of war crimes. Dude, just to give you an idea, the UK has prosecuted one soldier for war crimes. One soldier. You really think there's only one war crime that's been committed in Iraq? Are you fucking serious? That was Donald Payne. He literally beat a man to death in custody. It was Baha Musa. He was 26 years old, works in a hotel in Basra in Iraq, and they beat him to death. And he got 1 year in prison for murdering an Iraqi man. So that's the UK's definition of punishing war criminals, right? That's how they treat war crimes. And then on top of that, on top of not persecuting anyone, prosecuting anyone rather, they're like, oh, there are all these like unjust claims of war crimes. We have to protect our service members. So you know what? We're just going to give them blanket immunity after 5 years. So after 5 years, if, you know, you come and make a complaint about a war crime, we don't care because it's 5 years have passed and that's it. We're just giving all the troops immunity. You know, like they're just pissing on the Geneva Convention, just the Hague Convention, just screw it. Yeah. Oh, this happened 5 years ago. Sorry, we're not interested, mate. So that's what they've been doing in the last couple of months. That's also a law now, the Overseas Operations Bill, right? So the UK, all the poor service members, they're so persecuted. So they've given them immunity. And then what do they do next? They do the anti-protest bill, right? So the police court sentencing and crimes bill. And that one is basically the police can come and shut down a protest on the spot. They can say, this protest is not justified. Get out of here. And if you don't comply, they can fine you a couple of £1,000s. They can impose a start and a finish time. So they can basically tell you to piss off after 20 minutes or 2 hours, whatever they like, right? They can just come and shut it down on the spot, which is very democratic, right? So lovely. Yeah, like, you know, civil liberties, mate. So not only that, but you can get 10 years in jail for defacing a statue, which is, so basically like if you throw a statue of a slave trader or something in the dock like they did in Bristol, or you just put paint on it or whatever, you could go to jail longer than someone who rapes. Like this is the insanity. This is the authoritarian shit that they're trying to pass. So like I said, the CHIS Act, the Overseas Operations, that's already done. That's law. This anti-protest law bill, they're still trying to get it through, right? That's why you had these Kill the Bill protests. And now they come along with this. Now they want to equate journalists and whistleblowers with enemy spies. No, sorry, they're worse than enemy spies. Dude, what is this? What is this? Are we really surprised? Are we really surprised? I don't know, man. Yes and no. But mostly no. I'm just annoyed because, you know, this is unbelievable. Like, how dare they? How dare they? I'm not surprised because of all the shit that they've already passed and gotten away with, right? That's why I'm not surprised, but I'm still disgusted. And, you know, I just have a hypothesis why they're doing this, because as you guys may know, Priti Patel, do you know, she's the Home Secretary, right? Madam Home Secretary. That's what she looks like, right? That's our Home Secretary. Now, I have a theory why she's doing this. And I think it's about the eyebrow story. So like a few months ago, there was a story in the paper that she spent over £77,000 of taxpayers' money on eyebrows. Now, there are people who say that the story is not true because the official response and this is hilarious because they actually did it on Twitter. Like, you had the Home Office scrambling to like respond to it on Twitter, like, oh my God, it's not true. It's not true. Madam Home Secretary never did such thing. They said that she, or the Home Office rather, bought 77,000 pounds worth of PPE, so like masks and stuff, from a place that happens to do eyebrows, which is so weird because like, why would they even sell that in the first place? I don't even know what's going on, man. I don't know. It's just fishy. But it's just a joke. I'm just joking here, right? Maybe that's why she wants to punish journalists with 14 years in jail or whatever it is. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just think this is really, really bad. This is really bad. And you know, when we talk about the Official Secrets Act, it's like, look at what they did with Assange. You know, when the judge was, Judge Barretza, she was giving her ruling. What did she do? She went through all of the charges under the Espionage Act in the US, and she had to find equivalents of them in the Official Secrets Act in the UK. Because like I said, these two laws are very similar. They're the same thing. They're archaic tools, you know, wielded against dissidents. You know, it's a political tool for witch hunts, but definitely more in the US. In any case, Judge Barretza, what does she do? She goes and makes equivalents because she has to satisfy the extradition requirements, right? So you have to prove that this crime that the defendant is being charged with is also a crime in the UK. If it's not a crime in the UK, you can't really extradite them, right? So you have to ascertain that this is also a crime in the UK and that therefore it makes sense to send them to another jurisdiction, right? So she does that because, as I said, she agreed with all of the political charges. When we say political charges, what do we mean? We're talking about the Espionage Act and the conspiracy to commit computer intrusion. So she agrees with all of this shit, and she finds the equivalents under the OSA, and that's worrying enough for me. Like, that's extremely bad. Because, you know, on the one hand, she's doing this to satisfy the extradition requirement, because I guess it's the process. But, dude, this is really not good when you're going and finding equivalents of some archaic US law in British law. What kind of precedent is that setting? Why? Just why? But this is worse. What the Home Office is doing is worse because they're not just trying to do it, you know, in one case. No, they're changing the law to make it look like something in the US. So actually, if it's 14 years, it'll be even worse than the Espionage Act because the Espionage Act is 10 years per count. And I'm assuming this would all, you know, here we're talking about the sentence per count. So it would not be 2 years anymore. It would be something as like they're saying maybe 14 years. Who knows? I mean, it shouldn't even be a day as far as I'm concerned because they want to use this against journalists. They're literally saying that. Who publishes unauthorized, you know, who undertakes unauthorized disclosures? Huh? These are journalists, publishers, whistleblowers. Not enemy spies. And so according to them, enemy spies are not as bad, and, you know, we need to punish journalists and, like, you know, it's not, oh, the government is damaging its own reputation by doing these crimes. No, you are causing us damage for exposing the crimes. What? I love the logic, right? Just great logic, full of brilliant logic. So this is, again, it's another step towards their, you know, it's another step in the same direction, this authoritarian bullshit. It's really like a competition, right? Like, who can be more authoritarian right now? The US, the UK, you know? This is really shit. This is really garbage. So do you think they care? I don't think they care. They're just going to try and get away with it. And, you know, again, you had barely any media outlets reporting about it. They don't. What does the BBC care about this, honestly? Do you think the BBC even publishes anything the government doesn't like? It's state media. You think any of these big outlets publish anything that actually goes against the state? They never would, so they're not concerned by this. It's scandalous. It's really scandalous, honestly, what they're doing. So, you know, in the US, you have the White House working with Facebook to ban people from social media who spread misinformation, whatever that is, right? And when they talked about misinformation, when they shut down Press TV, apparently that was reporting the news. Reporting the news is misinformation. Saying the truth, which they don't like, is misinformation, according to them. You know, this is astonishing, honestly. And now it's like a race to the bottom, you know? It's a race to the bottom. So thank you very much. Really, I'm just, wow, what would we do without the Boris Johnson government? This is really like so brilliant. Thank you so much. Oh, God.